Right.
Hello students. In previous classes we have already discussed or we enlisted them what are the different evidences of the evolution. So as you already studied like some of the evidences of comparative morphology and anatomy, comparative embryology, physiology and biochemistry, paleontology and the natural selection. These are the some of the evidences where we already discussed in the last classes. So one by one in detail we'll study with examples what are the contributions of these evidences in the evolution. Okay. So first comes the evidences from comparative morphology and the anatomy. Okay. So morphology and anatomy people are very much familiar, right? We already studied different types of morphology and anatomy, different examples of plants and the animals. Here in the comparative evidences of morphology and the anatomy, it helps in the study of similarities and the difference of plant animals and the plants from present to the past form. Means what are the different characters did the plants and the animals have been adopted during the course of time or during the evolution from present to the past. That is what are the characters they have adopted from the ancestors that we can study in this evidence, that is the evidences from comparative morphology and the anatomy. So again here this evidence it gives rise to the different forms. In this evidence we'll be dealing other different evidences or different examples like homologous organ, analogous organs, vestigial organs, parallel evolution, atavism and the connecting links. So these are the different forms we will be dealing in the first evidence, that is the evidence from the morphology, comparative morphology and the anatomy. So further it gives rise to the different forms, that is the analogous organs, homologous organ, vestigial organ, parallel evolution, atavism and the connecting link. So in detail one by one we will study now. So first and foremost the example which comes under the evidences of comparative morphology and the anatomy is the homologous organ. So what does the homologous organ states? It states that it deals with the organisms where the structure and origin is same but they perform the different function. What does the homologous organ states? It states that the organisms whose structure and the origin is same but they perform the different function. Right. So some of the examples here in the homologous organ, the origin and the structure will be the same. But during the course of time, when they develop, the function varies. That is, there is a modification in the function depending upon their adaptation in the environment. Depending upon the adaptation, their function will changes. Yet their origin and the structure will remain the same. So again, some of the examples which we will be dealing in the homologous organs are in some examples in plants as well as in case of the animals. First comes the forelimbs of whales. Forelimbs of whales, forelimbs of bats, forelimbs of cheetah and the forelimbs of the human beings. So all these forelimbs of the different animals, their origin and structure is same. Forelimbs of all these different types of animals, what happens here? The origin and the structure is same but the function is different. Right, different animals they have got a different modification, that is they have different functions which are adopted in the environment. Like for example blue whales, forelimbs of whales they helps for the swimming, that is they have got the flippers and these flippers they help for the swimming purpose. Then forelimbs of bats, and you already seen the bats, right, which is adapted for the flight mode. And here the forelimbs of bats they help for the flying purpose, that is for the flight. Then the forelimbs of cheetah, and the forelimbs of cheetah it helps for the running, for running purpose it is adopted. Then in case of the human beings, the forelimbs they have got adopted for the different functions like swimming, flying, running and the walking. Right, so these are the different types of forelimbs of the different animals which are got modified for the different function. They have same origin and the same structure. That is in case of the different animals. So next come in case of plants. So what happens in case of plants? In case of plants, we have got examples like thorns of bougainvillea and the tendrils of cucurbita. So here, in case of thorns as well as in case of the tendrils of different species of the plants, they have the same origin and the structure. But again, the function is the different here. Some example like thorns of bougainvillea. So generally, these thorns they helps for the protection. They helps for the protection, whereas the tendrils of cucurbita they provide and support for the growth, right? These tendrils, they will provide the support, though they have different function, but the origin and structure is the same. Like for example, they arises from the axillary position. They arises from the axillary position and they are modified branches. They arise from the axillary position and they are the modified branches. Means here only the function varies, but the origin and the structure remains the same. So these are the some of the examples which comes under the evidence, that is the homologous organs. So what is the homologous organ states? It states that the organs whose structure and the origin is same, but the function is different. So it is an important question which will be asked for 1 mark. So, or it will be, if it is asked for 2 marks, it will be asked with the example. So you have to remember the examples. They are very important. So homologous organs means which the organs whose structure and origin is same, but their function is different. Examples: the forelimbs of different animals are there. Either you can mention 2 of them: forelimbs of bat or the forelimbs of man. And even you have to keep their functions also. Forelimbs of whales helps for swimming. Forelimbs of bat helps for flight. Forelimbs of cheetah helps for running. And in case of human beings, it is modified in different functions like swimming, flying, running, and the walking. And in case of plants also, you have to remember the examples, that is the thorns of bougainvillea and the tendrils of the cucurbita. Their original structure is same, but the function is different. Okay, that's about the homologous organs. So next we'll move on to the analogous organ. So next we'll move on to the analogous organ. So far we have discussed what is the homologous organs, and next comes the analogous organ. So again here in the analogous organ, the organs whose origin and the structure is different, but the function is same. In case of homologous, what happens? It was quite different. Origin and the structure was same and the function is different. Whereas in case of analogous, origin and the structure is different and the function is the same. Okay. So examples in case of the analogous organs are. So what is analogous organs? Organs which are structurally different but functions are similar. Means the origin and the structure is different, but the function will remain the same. So some of the examples in the analogous organs are, again in case of the animals, that is the wings of the insects and the birds, right? In case of birds and in case of the insects, the wings, the structure and origin is different. In case of insects, the wing structure is different, whereas in case of birds, it is different. But the function is same. It will help for the flying purpose, right? Wings of insects and the wings of birds. So in case of the insects, the wings are, it is an extension of an integuments. In case of insects, wings is it is an extension of the integuments, whereas in case of birds, the wings is a modified of forelimbs. In case of birds, the forelimbs are modified into wings and they are covered with flesh, skin and the feathers. You are very much familiar, you have seen insects and the birds and you have seen what are the different modification in their wings. In case of insects, it is an extension of the integument, whereas in case of birds, the forelimbs are modified into wings. Again the wings, they are covered by flesh, skin and the feathers. Here you can see that their origin and the structure is quite different, but the function is same. What's the function? It will help for flying. It will help for flight purpose or for flying purpose, right? That is the example in case of the animals. So what happens in case of the plants? So in case of the plants, again the example which is mentioned is the sweet potato and the potato. Sweet potato, it is an example for the root modification and the potato is an example for the stem modification. So here you can see that even though they both have got a different origin and the structure, but the function is same. And what's the function? They help for storage. Function remains same, that is the storage, but the structure and origin is the different. One is from the root modification and another one is from the stem modification, right? So these are the examples which comes under the Analogous organs. So what are analogous organs? The organs whose origin and the structure is different but the function will remain same. Example, in case of animals, it is the wings of insects and the wings of the birds. Even though the structure and origin is different, but the function is that they help for flying purpose. And in case of plants, example is sweet potato and the potato. Okay, this you have to keep in mind. The definition, either the definition will be asked for 1 marks, or if it is asked with examples, it will be asked for 2 marks. Example also you have to keep in mind, one from the plants and another one from the animals. Next comes the another important part. So what is the divergent evolution and the convergent evolution? Fine. So divergent evolution, it is nothing but they are the evidences which helps us to know that how the formation of different structure arise from the common ancestors. That is, you can see that what are the different modifications so far we have studied in the animals. From where did these structures have arisen? That is, they are formed from the common ancestors. From the common ancestors only these characters has been transferred. It has been carried till today. Right? That is what's commonly known as divergent evolution. Divergent evolution means formation of different structure from common ancestor. Formation of different structures from the common ancestor is known as divergent evolution. So example which comes under divergent is the homologous organs. Okay. Next comes the convergent. Divergent means formation of different structure. Convergent means attainment. It is the attainment of the similar structure from distantly related animals. From the different animals, the attainment of the similar structure which is known as the convergent. So again here the convergent examples which comes are the analogous organs. So this you have to keep in mind. Again these two are also important for 1 marks with definition and the examples. Divergent means it helps for the formation of different structure from the common ancestor. Examples are the homologous organs. Convergent means it helps for attainment of the similar structure from the distantly related animals. Right? Example is the analogous organ. Okay. Hope this is the clear. That is the analogous organ, definition and the examples, and the divergent evolution and the convergent evolution. Okay, so next I will move on to the another example, that is the vestigial organ. So what do you mean by vestigial organ? So you already heard this term. Vestigial means non-functional. The organs which are non-functional or reduced during the course of time means organs which are reduced or non-functional in some animals, and whereas in case of other it is developed and the functional. That is known as the vestigial organ. Vestigial organ, what's the definition of vestigial organ? Organs which are reduced or non-functional in some animals, whereas in some cases it is functional and it is well developed. In some it is well developed and it is functional, whereas in case of some animals it is not developed and it is not functional. It is called as the vestigial organ. So some of the examples for vestigial organs are, first and foremost is the vermiform appendix. So what is vermiform appendix? It is a vestigial organ which is seen in the human beings. Where it is nothing but it is a finger-like extension which is present at the junction of small and the large intestine. What is vermiform appendix? It is a finger-like extension present at the junction of small and the large intestine. In case of human beings, it is non-functional, whereas in case of ruminants, it is functional. Another example is the wisdom teeth. So wisdom teeth, in case of human beings, it is non-functional, whereas in case of animals, some animals, it is functional. And another is the nictitating membrane, Plica semilolaris. So again here, this nictitating membrane, even it is also non-functional or a vestigial organ in case of the human beings, whereas in case of some animals like birds, it is functional. Okay, so these are some of the examples for vestigial organ. So what do you mean by vestigial organ? Vestigial organs are nothing but the organs which are reduced and non-functional in some and well developed and functional in other animals. Some of the examples like vermiform appendix, wisdom teeth and the nictitating membrane. Next we'll move on to the atavism. So what do you mean by atavism? So it is also one of the evidences for the evolution. So what is atavism? It is nothing but the sudden reappearance of the ancestral character. It's a sudden reappearance of ancestral character which was completely reduced or the disappeared. That's right. Reappearance, sudden reappearance of ancestor characters, it is commonly known as the atavism. So some of the examples are the reappearance of small tail in the babies. Right? Usually it is not seen, but if it came in cases, if the tail appeared in the babies, so generally we call it as an atavism. Means it is also one of the evidence for the evolution. Example, reappearance of small tail in the babies, ability to move the pinna and the dense body hairs. Complete the body is covered by the hair. So far we have never seen this kind of, these examples are there where they came under the atavism. That is, it shows that the ancestral character has been reappeared, where it is already disappeared and reduced. Right? So these are the examples. One is the vestigial organ, another one is the atavism. Okay. So next we'll move on to the connecting links. So what do you mean by connecting links and what are the examples comes under the connecting link? We'll study in detail one by one. So connecting links. Connecting means where one organisms are connected to the another organisms. Like for example, the organisms which shows the characters of two different groups. Means one organisms, it has got the characters of two different organisms, which is commonly known as the connecting link. Means it helps in the connecting. It acts as a mediator. You can also say as a mediator. Means it consisting of the characters of two different groups, two different organisms. Some of the examples which comes under the connecting link are, the first is the euglena. So euglena, it is a connecting link between the plants and the animals. Euglena is a connecting link between the plants and the animals. How? Either it is a plant or it is an animal. It has got the characteristic features of both. Like plants, it is having the chlorophyll, or it is an autotrophic animals. When compared to the animals, it shows the locomotion. Both plant characters as well as the animal characters it exhibits. So it is commonly known as the connecting link between the plants and the animals. Means it has characteristic features of both plants as well as the animals. So neither we can consider it as a plant or it is an animal. So instead of that, we will call it as a link between the plants and the animals. Another example, peripatus. Peripatus, it is a connecting link between the Annelida and the Arthropoda. It's a connecting link between the Annelida and the Arthropoda. Means it has got the characters, features of both Annelida and the Arthropoda. Annelida, example, it has got the segments on their body, vermiform body and the segments. When it compared to the Arthropoda, it has got jointed legs and the compound eyes. Annelida characters means it has got vermiform body and the segments. Arthropoda, it has got jointed legs and the compound eyes. So it is known as connecting link between the Annelida and the Arthropoda. That is the peripatus. Another example is the Neoplana. Neoplana, it is a connecting link between the Annelida and the mollusca. So again here in Annelida, it is having the segments on the body. And the mollusca, it has got the soft body and the shells and the muscular foot. That's the characters of the mollusca. It exhibits both Annelida characters and the molluscan characters. Then another example is the Protopterus, or it is also called as lungfish. And these Protopterus, they are the connecting link between the fishes and the amphibians. It has got the characteristics of both fish and the amphibians. Fishes like they have got the lungs, and the amphibian characters, that is, it is made up of three-chambered heart. Another example is the Archaeopteryx. Archaeopteryx, or it is commonly known as the fossil bird, and we are very much familiar with the Archaeopteryx bird. It is a connecting link between the reptiles and the apes. It has exhibits characteristics of both reptiles as well as the apes, that is the birds. In case of reptiles, the complete skin is dry, and avian characters, that is the bird characters, that is forelimbs are modified into wings, and the body is covered with feathers, and they have got the beak. Okay. Next, another example is the Prototherians, and these are the examples, or it is a connecting link between the reptiles and the mammals. So it is commonly it is known as an unfinished mammal. Means it has got reptilian character, that is the skin covered by the feathers, and mammalian characters, it has got the mammary glands. And another some examples also comes, that is the egg-laying mammals like Echidna and the Platypus. They are some of the examples. So these are the examples which comes under the connecting link. So what do you mean by connecting link? The organisms which shows the characters of two different groups. Two different groups, the characters are exhibited by the single species. They are commonly we call it as a connecting link. Some of the examples like Euglena, it is a connecting link between the plants and the animals. Peripatus, it's a connecting link between Annelida and the Arthropoda. Neoplana is a connecting link between the Annelida and the Mollusca. Protopterus is a connecting link between the fishes and the amphibians. Archaeopteryx is a connecting link between the reptiles and apes. And Prototherians is a connecting link between the reptiles and the mammals. So these are the examples which comes under the connecting link. Okay, so so far we have studied the evidences of comparative embryology, comparative anatomy and the morphology. So next we'll move on to the another important evidence, that is the evidences from comparative embryology. Okay, so what do you mean by embryology? Embryology is nothing but the study of development of an organism from egg to adult. Development of an organism from egg to adult. Okay, so in this evidence, when we see the embryo of different related vertebrates like reptiles, fishes, amphibians and the human beings, all the embryos at the certain stage they look same. It looks same and it's very difficult to identify the embryo. Okay, so what happens here? If we compare the embryo of unrelated vertebrates like fishes, reptiles and the birds and the human beings, exactly they look same during the developmental stage or during the embryonic stage. All this during their development, it starts from the single stage which is called as the zygote. Means complete the development of these organisms, so they begin from the single cell stage which is known as the zygote. Then later on the zygote, it gives rise to the blastula, right? Then from blastula, it is having the blastomere cells. Further, it gives rise to the three germ layers, which is known as the gastrula. Okay. From the zygote, the life is it is converted into blastula. From the blastula, it gives rise to the three germ layer, that is the gastrula. Then gastrula, further slowly the development will begin. Right. From here, that is during the embryonic stage, almost all the embryos they look same. Either it may be the fish, or it may be the reptile, or it may be birds, or the human beings. Embryonic stage, that is the early stage, almost all they look same and it is very difficult to identify the embryo belongs to the which group. Fine. So these are the some of the evidences which we study in the evidences from the comparative embryology. Okay, so what do you mean by embryology? Embryology is nothing but it is the development of organism from egg to adult. So during this development or the what are the changes will takes place. So you have to keep in mind that every organisms, that is all these, they begins their development from the single cell stage which is known as the zygote, right? At the certain stage in their development, all of them will appear like a fish. That is the embryonic stage of fish, reptile and the birds and the human beings. They look same, just they look like a fishes only with the tail, gills, etc. Right. So that's about the evidences of the embryology. Next comes the another important law, that is known as the biogenetic law, which was put forth by the Ernst Haeckel. What does this law states? It says that the ontogeny recapitulates the phylogeny. Ontogeny recapitulates the phylogeny, means the developmental history of an organism repeats its ancestral history. That is the development of characters, it will resemble, so it will begin with the ancestral history. For example, the tadpole larva of the amphibians. During the larval stage, it will exhibit the characteristics of the fishes like presence of gills, fins, lateral line system, etc. That shows that fishes are the amphibians of the fishes are the ancestors of the amphibians due to the resemblance. That is the larval stage. It resembles the characteristic features of the fishes. So it tells that according to the biogenetic law, it says the ontogeny recapitulates the phylogeny, means The developmental history of an organism, it repeats its ancestral character. So this definition, it will be asked for 1 mark. It is important for your CET and the NEET purpose. Biogenetic law, which was proposed by the Ernst Haeckel. Right? So that's about the second evidences, that is the evidences from the comparative embryology. So during the embryonic, that is when we compare different embryos of different animals, what are the changes we see and how they look, that we come across this evidence. So next we'll move on to the another evidence. Okay, so next we'll move on to the most interesting evidence, that is the evidences from physiology and the biochemistry. So as you already know that all the living organisms, including the human beings, we are made up of different chemicals in our body, right? And also necessary for the functioning of the different organs, right? Our body, we have got different types of organs, that is in the physiology, right? We have got different organs, and each organs, they have got their own function for the normal maintenance of the body. And for the function, we need chemicals, right? Chemicals in biology, that is biochemistry, that is the evidences from the physiology and the biochemistry. So what does this evidences states? According to this evidence, all the right from the microorganisms to man, they possess certain biochemicals in common. You can consider from the microorganisms to man, including the human beings, we are made up of biochemicals are present in common, right? Some, like for example, protoplasm, DNA, RNA, hormones, enzymes, and the metabolic processes, which comes under this evidence. So we'll see one by one what are its functions. So first comes the protoplasm. So protoplasm, the chemicals in protoplasm, they are same. You can take nucleic acid, carbohydrates, proteins, etc. They are present commonly, right, from the microorganisms to man, and their functions remains the same. That is the hereditary materials or the synthesis of proteins. Okay, fine. Next, we'll see that in next. That is the DNA and the RNA. DNA and RNA, they are present in all the organisms and does the same function, right? That is the synthesis of the proteins, and it is also made up of genetic material. Another is in hormones. So again, hormones, we have got different hormones in our body and they have got their own function. One of the examples mentioned here is the insulin, which helps in the balancing the sugar balance in the in all, right? What does the insulin will do? It helps in balancing the sugar level. Next comes the enzymes. So again here in the enzyme, the example which is mentioned, for examples, all the enzymes, they have got their own function in all the organisms. Like for example, trypsin, it helps in the protein digestion, right? Trypsin, amylase, etc. That means they have got their own function, which generally helps for the digestion. Then apart from this, the one of the most important physiological process is that it helps in the metabolic process. Metabolic process like digestion, respiration, circulation, and excretion, etc., which remains the same in all the organisms. Right? For example, digestion. You may take any organisms, right, from the microorganisms to the higher animals. The digestion process will remains the same. That is the complex food substance. They are broken down into the simple absorbable form. When it comes to the respiration, so again in respiration, as you already know, it's nothing but the exchange of gases. We intake in oxygen and use out the carbon dioxide. So every organisms will do the same process. Intake of oxygen and use out the carbon dioxide. That is all the metabolic process, it will remains the same. And then comes the circulation, excretion, etc. So these are the some of the evidences which we study in under the physiology and the biochemistry. That is, apart from all these things, even for normal functioning of the body, we requires the chemicals, and it is also one of the strong evidence to support the evolution. Right, so far in today's class we have discussed three important evidences. The first and foremost evidence is that evidences from comparative morphology and the anatomy. So here we have studied different examples like homologous organ, analogous organ, divergent evolution, convergent evolution, atavism, and the connecting link, vestigial organ. Again, different examples also we have studied under this evidence. Next, another second evidences we have studied is that evidences from the embryology. So what do you mean by embryology? Embryology is nothing but it is the development of an organism from egg to adult. So what are the changes will take place? How the life will begin? As you already know that the life will begin from the cell. That is from the zygote. From the zygote it is transferred to the blastula, and from the blastula it is transferred to the pre-germ layers, which is known as the gastrula, and from there the further processes will take place, right? So during certain stage the different embryos of different animals like fishes, reptiles, birds and human beings, they look same and it's very difficult to identify them. So those are the evidences we have studied under the embryology, that is the evidences from the embryology. So the third evidence we have studied today is the evidences from the physiology and the biochemistry. So apart from this, even the chemicals which are required for our body, it remains same from the microorganisms to the animals, and all the processes like for example it may take protoplasm, functioning of the DNA, RNA and the hormones, enzymes and the metabolic process will remain same from microorganisms to human beings, right? So these are the concepts we discussed in today's class. So remaining evidences will continue in the upcoming classes.